first off, I want to thank you for coming to AwesomeCon. How has the convention scene been for you so far?
Very pleasant, very helpful, and I mean the whole of the convention has been very good. Enjoyed it.
So I'm sure you've been doing conventions a lot with Star Wars
Yeah.
just being such a prominent
Yeah.
influence in pop culture. How long have you been doing this?
Well, when Star Wars came out in the late '70s, wasn't it? And I would say now I've been doing all conventions for the last like 10, 15 years. Yeah.
So Darth Vader, probably one of the most influential villains of all time.
Well, he's now regarded as the greatest screen villain of all time. Yeah.
But I remember I read somewhere that you and Peter Mayhew were actually kind of deciding who would play who, whether it be Chewbacca, that you would play Chewbacca or he would play.
Well, that happened right at the very beginning, when they were doing the casting, and I think Lucas said to me, you've got a choice of two characters in the movie, and so I said, well, what are they? He said, well, there's this character called Chewbacca, which is like a huge teddy bear. Or alternatively, there's the main villain of the piece. I said, there's no choice, is there? So thank you very much. I'll add the villain's piece. Yeah.
So I know originally you thought your voice was going to be a part of Darth Vader, and I know you talked about it in the past. But how did that decision come about, where they ended up doing a different?
Well, the thing is, now what happened was, I did the voice all the way through the movies. And I kept on saying to Lucas, what are we going to do about the voice? Because everything I'm saying is like coming, from inside the mask. And it's obviously no good for reproduction. He said, don't worry. So we're going to the sound studios and re-record all your dialogue in the sound studios properly. So I thought, well, that's lovely, thanks, Anyway, what happened was they got to the end of the movie, chased back to America immediately, because they were all done, the films were all shot in England. Then they chased back to America, and then when they were in America, they suddenly realised that I hadn't done the overdubbing, you see. And then, of course, it was too expensive to get me to fly out to Hollywood just to do an hour's work, as it were. And so they started looking around and got James Earl Jones, who was a lovely character, great guy. And I like him. I've met him, and and I've been to see him at plays and so on and so forth. And I think he did a wonderful job. But I still think I could have done equally as well, given the right opportunity.
So, do you ever feel that Star Wars, given what it's blown up and expanded to now, do you ever feel like it's just overwhelming at times, like with the fans and everyone just saying, you being this iconic character?
Well, I'm very happy to be a major part of the Star Wars, really trilogy. I mean, that was the three that I really got involved in, and I think it's done wonders for me. It's enabled me to travel all around the world doing these sci-fi conventions and things like this, and also, as I said, to play the part of Vader, who is now regarded as the ultimate screen villain, is a lovely accolade. Yeah.
So, what do you think of the evolution of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi came the prequels and now The Force Awakens? Have you followed Star Wars since then?
Well, to a certain extent I have, but I don't think anything they've done so far is as good as the first couple. I mean, even the latest one, The Force Awakens. I mean, it's a nice film. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice film, but I watched it. I travelled 150 miles to go and see it when it first came out. And what I didn't know was they were having a special showing of the very first ever showing of the new movie, and so I travelled all this 150 miles to go and see it. And anyway, at the end of the movie, I was a bit disappointed in it, to be honest, because I didn't think there was enough action in it. Excuse me, when I'm about to cough. And the people that I went down to see it in South Wales with said, well, be a bit careful about what you say, because because there's got to be some people outside waiting to see you and meet you. You see, I went out into the foyer of the cinema, and it was jam packed with people, like, I started signing autographs at 10 o'clock at night, and I finished at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But they were, and every one of them enjoyed the movie. And then when I got back to London, my wife and her friends went to see the movie. They thoroughly enjoyed it as well, and so yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you just for being such an influence and just being such a part of something that's so magnificent today.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's an honor to meet you, and it's an honor to even speak.
Thank you very much. Lovely.